security continues to be a pressing issue, with climate change, pests and diseases causing significant damage to crop yields. To address this, African scientists are exploring the potential of genetically modified crops as a solution. Currently, 11 African countries, including Kenya, have biosafety regulations in place to govern the use, research and development of genetically modified crops. In order to enhance food production across the continent, African scientists are urging all countries to have biosafety regulations in place to promote the adoption of farming technologies like genetically modified crops. This will help to mitigate the negative effects of climate change, pests and diseases on crop yields. In this week's Heartbeat, Brygettes Ngana delves into the lessons Kenya can learn from South Africa about how to advance GMO technologies in agriculture.
South Africa is the biggest maize producer in Africa. 7 of the 9 provinces grow maize using dry land and irrigation methods. However, according to the country's Agricultural Research Council, only 13% of South Africa's total land area is suitable for farming. So, how did this country become so successful in maize production?
With poor soils, with very poor rainfall. If anything, we are said to be the 39th driest country in the world. That gives you an idea of how unsuitable the country is for agriculture.
We have come to Randfontein in the greater Gauteng province, still in South Africa, to meet a farmer who has been using genetically modified seeds to plant maize and soybean. We're here to spend a day with him and see how the productivity of his farm has improved over the years. Simon Tefo is among 80 commercial grain farmers in Gauteng province. For the last decade, the civil engineer turned farmer has expanded the area of his farm from 120 hectares when he started farming to more than 300 hectares, growing genetically modified maize and soybean.
I always do the crop rotation. It helps to enrich my soil. So here, where we are here, it's maize. If you come next year, it will be soya. I'm happy I've got a good maize this year, even if they're stealing it back.
Well, South Africa has become food secure because our farmers adopted technologies much earlier than the rest of Africa. And in this case, we are talking about not just GM technologies, we are talking about the whole package of technologies, the tractors, the fertilizers, the herbicides, and so on.
85% of the maize grown here is from genetically modified varieties, and Gauteng ranks 4th in the country for the production of white and yellow maize.
99% of our farmers produce stag genes due to the issues of stalk borer and other problematic pests. And lately we had the outbreak of fall armyworms, which is also posing threat. And fortunately enough, those who are producing stag genes are not necessarily highly affected.
Having improved seed is just one aspect in the equation, but climate change and the current drought being experienced in the Southern Africa region due to the El Niño weather phenomenon is expected to affect maize production this year.
We knew that January is a very hot month. We only start having rain in February, after having rain somewhere in December around your Christmas time. Now everything has changed. We had a lot of rain this January. So it affects you because you don't know exactly when must you plant. You don't know exactly when are you going to harvest.
So we're already at the farm, and behind me is the GM maize that has been grown. I just want you to come closer and have a look at it and just have a feel also. I would like to also touch it and see if there's anything different. It's more or less the same, I think, in terms of height. The kind of maize that I'm used to seeing in Kenya is usually taller. So one of the things characteristically that I'm noticing is that the height is not that tall, and yeah, the stalks are quite loaded, and it's usually towards the bottom. Another thing is I've seen insects on the maize, so this perception that this maize maybe does not attract normal flora and fauna in the environment where the maize has been planted. I think that myth has been busted. So pests also kind of affect some of this maize.
Every farmer here in Gauteng growing GMO maize is required to plant refuge crop, which is a portion of non-GMO maize that occupies 5% of the total crop surface area to prevent the insects and pests from building resistance to the GMO technology.
In the non-BT crop, you expect that, for example, the stalk borers or even the fall armyworm that will be in that field, they will be susceptible to the BT. The resistant insects will come from the BT crop, but they are in very small numbers. So chances are an insect which has built resistance in the BT crop will mate with susceptible insects that are in the refuge crop, and the offspring will also be susceptible to the BT.
Selling the adoption of GM technologies in farming has been met with skepticism on the continent.
It's important that farmers get to know and understand the meaning of GM technologies. They must understand what is GM. They must understand the benefits. They must understand the possible risks. They must understand how to handle GM crops so that in the end, when they make informed decisions.
When you look at where Africa is, the challenges that Africa is going through, and also how the outside world is framing itself up around the technology, we are actually behind. And there's no reason why we should be behind, other than the fact that technology that we're promoting has attracted propaganda, myths, which shouldn't be there.
GMO seeds can be replanted. However, in this expanse of planting where we want our farmers to go, we would want them to grow high quality hybrid GMO seeds.
When you look at the food insecurity and how much we're importing, that figure that came from World Bank is not going down. It was 35 billion, it continues to grow. My question is, most of the food that we'll be importing or asking to help is actually GMO. Why can't we grow those foods ourselves and then we reduce on the food import bill? That will have spillover to our economies, it will have health benefits, but more importantly, it will indeed safeguard our sovereignty.
Nigeria and Ghana recently commercialized varieties of GMO maize and cowpeas after successful confined field trials. In Nigeria, BT cotton and BT cowpea are already in the hands of farmers, and plans are underway to facilitate the BT maize seeds to the farmers.
The Nigerian farmers are not meeting up to the demands of the industries, especially the feed industries and the food industry and the feed industry. So there's need for the to boost the production of maize in Nigeria.
In February this year, Rwanda became the latest African country to enact a biosafety law, opening up the potential for Rwanda to explore GMOs in agriculture.
Sasa hivi kuna confined field trial tunaita CFT yenyewe iko naendelea ndani ya nchi, yenyewe inaweza kutizama kama tunaweza tukatatua ile tatizo la virusi.
Back at Simon Tefu's home, we are treated to lunch, the highlight of the meal, eating ugali made from GM maize.
So from the farms to the plate, what I have before me is a literal version of 100% genetically modified ugali, or pap as it's called here in South Africa. I want to give it a taste test and see if there's a difference with the maize meal back at home. So there's not so much of a difference in terms of the taste, and my trip here in South Africa has been a great learning process, seeing how this agricultural technology in genetically modified food is improving the livelihoods of farmers and also ensuring that this country is food secure. I hope that this technology will be replicated back home in the coming days. Brygettes Ngana, NTV in Randfontein, South Africa.
Well, very insightful there from Brygettes Ngana with the GMO. We'll be watching that for a while. Taking a short break, we'll be right back with plenty more.